Welcome to the 11th lecture of the series that helps you crack the second round of selection process. Today, I, Ratnabha Saha, will be the host and host of this session on Merit Shine. Today, we are going to talk about something which the interviewer sees first about you. What is it? You tell me. Is it body language? No, right? What is the first thing that interviewer sees about you? Yes, it is your resume. You see, up till now we have talked about the interviews. Now we are getting closer to the main process. And when you go for an interview, you keep with yourself a resume. But then, is resume only one word or there are linked words with it? There are three linked words with resume. One is resume itself, the second is CV, the third is biodata. Now, what are the differences amongst these three? Let us see. Resume is a French word which means literally summary. Now, as the name suggests, summary means in short your key skills, your key deliverables, your key achievements, your strengths, that would be a part of your resume. It should be short, 1 to 2 pages long and not more than that. Whereas CV is a Latin word for curriculum vitae. It means essentially course of life. So obviously, as the name suggests, it would be a little more descriptive. It would contain a lot more data than what a resume would contain. It might be chronological also, unlike the resume, which can be might not be chronological, right? The third one is biodata. Now biodata is a short form of biographical data. When I say biographical data, what do we mean by that? You see, biography means here we are giving more importance to the personal details, right? So here the personal details gets the highest number of priority, right? So these are the differences. Obviously, biodata is also longer, maybe much longer than the CV, right? Now, which one is used? You see, resume, when we look at the countries across the world, United States employers prefer resume, whereas European employers prefer CV. As a matter of fact, in Europe there are standard CV formats also, like Europass Standard 1, Europass Standard 2, whereas biodata has very little utility outside India. Apart from some government job and the academic world, biodata is not used as much in everywhere. Right. In India, it is used in some government jobs and in the academic world. In the academic world outside India also, biodata is used sometimes. Now, let's see what we need to do. You see, the problem in here is that which one should we do as a fresher, as a WorkX, which one we should do? See, normally the norm is that WorkX candidates normally go for resume, whereas fresher candidates go for CV. But in India, we have found out an innovative solution to this also. You see, we Indians are very innovative, right? We believe in our Jugaad technology. So we have found an innovative solution here. What is the innovative solution? In Indian market, a mixed form of resume and CV has come to be accepted, where the document has the dynamism of resume and also the inclusiveness of CV. So from now onwards, in this session, we will use the words resume and CV interchangeably, right? For us, it would not be as much different, but I have already told you what is the difference when you look at the world scenario. Okay, so let's move on. Let's start with the FAQs, the frequently asked questions regarding resume and CV. Now, there are essentially two categories in which FAQs are divided. First, the first category of FAQ that comes normally in a resume is regarding writing your resume, right? And what is the second category? Second category is finalizing your resume, right? You see, you remember that when we are talking about resume, yes, would be giving you an example of how to make resume slash CV for our Indian context. But you would also remember that I said the resume is a much shorter version. It does not contain everything. So normally with the resume, we also send a cover letter. Now that cover letter, how to make that cover letter would also be discussed today. Now let's come back to the FAQs. So there are two categories of FAQs: writing your resume and finalizing your resumes. So first we will go through the FAQs regarding writing your resume, and then the FAQs regarding the finalizing your resume, and then I will give you a sample of a resume. There we would see how things have been put where, and so that we can understand that this is the way we will make the resume. The sample that I will give would be of a fresher candidate, but that sample would be equally helpful to a WorkX candidate also. He would need to change a little bit of things out there, okay, and that also I will tell you what to change and what not to change. So let's roll the ball. Here it is, FAQs on writing resume. So what is the first FAQ that I get normally for writing resume? The first FAQ that I get is, what kind of layout should I use for writing a resume? You see, the interviewers or the HR guys gets your resume first. Now when he goes through your resume, he is going through thousands of resume every day. He should find a reason to get stuck at your resume so that he gives that extra attention that is required for you to get that interview call, right? So that is the basic assumption that we will keep in our mind. So let's see what kind of layout would that be. One, it should be simple and not flashy. Now a lot of students ask me, sir, you said that it should grab the attention. So why not to make it flashy and grab the attention? So my dear friends, you are not going for a job where grabbing people's attention is the purpose, and the HR knows that. And if you are going for a job where grabbing people's attention is the purpose, then you can use a flashy layout, a multicolored layout. For all normal professional jobs, simple and single colored, right? Attractiveness would be increased by concentrating on your content part and not on the design part, okay? Also, you should also remember that we should focus on the content and the content clarity and readability of the matter, and not focus on the beauty. So don't draw flowers and type in flowers in your resume so that it looks more attractive, right? So don't do that. So it should be simple, it should be single colored, and it should focus on the clarity and the readability of the matter, okay? So that's FAQ 1's answer. FAQ 2. FAQ 2 says, what are the components of my resume and what should be its order? Now, what are the components of your resume? Here we will make a list. Once I make a list of these, you will clearly understand that what kind of things you should put in your resume. First, start with the name. Make it bold, center, or left aligned. So you should make it, write it in bold, you should keep it in center, or you should keep it in the left aligned. Write down the email ID, phone number, address in the next column. You see, if you have given it in center, take the left column for email ID, phone number and address. If you have put your name in the left column, you can write the email ID, phone address either in the left column or in the right column, right? Next is the career objective. Now this is very important. A lot of people, what they do is they take up the best sounding career objective from internet and then they copy it in their own CV. Do not do that. Please do not do that, because please understand that when we talk about career objective, it is your career objective. And remember, we have already done our interview preparation. You know what your career goals are, what your career objectives are. You have to write it in a subjective sentence. That's it, right? So do not copy paste someone else's career objective, because you seem that that is more beautiful, right? Because our purpose is not to make it beautiful, right? Okay. Now, the next is work experience. Now, this is very important. for work experience candidates, just after career objectives, start off with your work experience. A lot of people say that in work experience they only give the data and then they list the achievements of the work experience later on in the award and the achievement segment that we will talk about later. But my take is that always give your achievements related to work experience in that particular area only where you are listing your work experience, roles and responsibilities. That ways, first of all, you are directly giving the data related to the achievements of your work experience at the first. Therefore, the HR would be able to find them very easily. You see, we had a simple layout so that the important data about you is easy to identify and pick up, right? So that you are you get a call from the HR based on your capabilities, right? So in work experience, put the achievements rather than putting the award and the achievement in the award and the achievement segment. Okay. Now, next, academics, you can put in the academics. You see, mostly for students who do not have work experience, this becomes the most important part because this comes just after the career objective, right? So you can give it in a tabular form, you can give it in any other ordered form, but then you should give it there, because that's the basis on which the interviewer would ask you a lot of questions. Okay, academics. And for work experience, guys, also academics should be there, but then the importance of that academics obviously goes down because you have your work experience to talk about. Okay, so now let's move on to internship and projects. All the internships and projects, all the major internships and projects that you have done during your engineering, during your commerce graduation, during your arts graduation, during your graduation or masters, that has to be put in here, right? And you see, again, you have already done your interview preparation, so you know what you have learned from which project and which internship. So it would not be a problem as such because you already know what to talk about them. So in very simple bullet points, give the learnings associated with the internship. Talk about what was the internship about and what you did out there, right? So 1 or 2 liners, not more than that. Okay, we will see it in the sample CV also. There also I will tell you how to list it down, and you will also see how it has been listed down in the sample CV. The next thing that comes is skills and achievements. Again, a category that you already know. The next is hobbies and interests, again directly flowing from the interview. And the next one is an optional column, that is references column. Now, for a work experience candidate, references become very important because if you have worked somewhere, there should be people who would be able to vouch for you, right? Yes, people sometimes do not keep it, but it is better to keep it that way. As a matter of fact, for freshers also, I think that this column should be present. First of all, because most freshers in India do not keep this column. So that way, this will differentiate you, right? Second, if as a fresher during your college studies, during your internship, during your projects, the people with whom you have worked, they can vouch for what kind of person you are, then it makes a very deep impact out there, right? You just need to give the name and the contact details of that particular person. That's it, and nothing else, right? The last component of your resume is other information or personal information. This can contain your languages that you know, the kind of things that you do, anything that has not been covered till now in the in your CV. Now, and we will see in the sample CV what are those things. Now we will move on to the FAQ 3. Let's see what is the last FAQ on writing resume. What type of words should I use to write my CV? Now this is very important. First of all, we used a simple design. So obviously logically it flows that we would also use simple words and not heavy words. We will use correct words which have no double meaning, which have single meaning, and we will not borrow words and styles from internet or from other people because they sound well, right? So don't do that. Use your own style, suit your regular style, because see, the CV will be with the interviewer when you will be there in the interview. So if your interview answers do not suit with the style of your CV or the resume details, it will create an inconsistency out there. We worked so hard for consistency in interview, you remember, in our flowchart model. So why not to do that in a resume too, right? Now, the next set of FAQs would be on finalizing on resume. Now, rather than going for FAQs, I will tell you the 3 things that we should do while finalizing our resume. First, check for the spelling and grammar errors. Check for the spelling errors and the grammar errors. Very important. Okay. Second, proofread to make sentences shorter. Your sentences should not be descriptive sentences. They should be one-liner or two-liner, as I had told you earlier also. They should be to the point. Bullet points is what we are targeting, not essay. This is not an essay writing competition. This is a bullet point competition. And the last one is get someone else to read your CV. You see, most of the times when you make your CV and you proofread it, there is every chance that you miss on some major elements of your CV which might be wrong. Whereas a second person who does not have any idea of how you made that CV, you'll be able to identify those errors faster and more effectively. So always get someone else to read your CV. Obviously, that someone else should be qualified a little bit to read that CV, but yes, get someone else to read your CV. Okay, so now we will get on to what in short we discussed till now. In short, what we discussed till now was that, you see, all the components of our CV or resume is nothing but what we have done in interview preparation. So our interview preparation provides us with the base of the resume building. See, so simple, right? We don't need to do much. We just need to pluck out our answers from interview preparation, put it in bullet points, and that's it. So you see, most of the times people ask you to make your resume first and then go for the interview and prepare for the interview. Here we are doing the whole thing, upside down, you can say. As the norm of the industry, we are doing it upside down. So for us, CV becomes just a byproduct of a good interview preparation. So if you have a good interview preparation, you already have a good CV. You just need to write it down. Okay, right. So what's to do next? Oh, let's see the sample resume. Right, I promised you that I will show you a sample resume. Now this sample resume is of IT Khan. Now Miss IT Khan is again one of the characters of my book, like CJ of our flowchart model. Now IT Khan is one of those 7 friends who are preparing for their second round of the interview. So she is one of those characters of GD-PI Handbook who makes a successful entry, successful second round interview after preparing through the processes that I have already shared with you over the last 10 videos. Okay, so let's move on. The sample. Here is the sample resume. You see, the first thing that we have put in here, or IT Khan has put in here, is a name. You see, the things within the brackets are where your name would come rather than IT Khan's name would. Then, as the name is in the center, you would see that left aligned after that is the address, email ID and the phone number column. Okay. Now, we'll look at it. Just below that, there is the career objective. You see, I have again mentioned here, write in your own words. Let's see what IT Khan has written. IT Khan has written, seeking challenging entry-level assignments in information technology with an organization which will give me opportunity to learn. Okay, so that's what her resume is. I've already told you that this is a resume for a fresher, but then you should also remember that all those students who are having work experience, after the career objective, they would come with the work experience area. Because IT Khan did not have any work experience, because she was in the final year of engineering, she did not keep the work experience area. So I have also written in there that work experience only for working professional, fresher should not keep this section at all. Now let's see education qualification, course, stream or exam. She has done BEIT, she is doing BEIT, institution or university, she has given year of passing and performance. Similarly 12th and 10th. Okay. Now the next important, so here education qualification has been given in tabular form. You can give it in a form where you do not use a table, that can also do, but it has to be ordered in a way. Then we move on to the project internship. You see what we have written here in the brackets. If you have done a significant internship, then make internship and projects as two different sections. In project section, list every project concisely by specifying objective, your role and results. Example, let's see an example. PQR organization, analysis of data warehousing techniques have been used. Then in bullet points, what has been done? Research to compare and analyze various data warehousing techniques and suggest alternatives to the current model. Second, was able to suggest alternate ways which can result in cost savings up to 15%. You see what she had been able to do in that internship, she has given here also. Right. Okay. So that's how you would give your project and internship. Next, the technical certification. Mention all relevant certification courses that you have done in your technical area. Right. So, this would be different for everyone. The next area is the award and the achievement area. What is to be kept here? See, awards are appreciation based on public performances and competitions. Therefore, they should have proof. Achievements can be personal, and that does not require proof. But in both cases, you should know why they are your achievements. Now, again, if you remember, we have already done the detailed analysis of these in our interview preparation of Happy G and flowchart. So, we are already ready for this. So, everyone says na, that whatever you put in your CV, please be prepared for that. We are already there. Okay. Now, the next one is hobbies and interest. List your interest and a one-liner with them. List active interest first and then the passive interest. Now, what are active interests? Active interest means where you do some work. For example, games you play, for example, activities you do. Passive interest means watching movies, right? So, those where you are not doing the thing. Let's see what IT Khan has kept here. Professional singing. Have performed in various stage shows at local level. Prefer singing in Hindi, Marathi and English. She is specifying, just like in interview we need to specify which kind of hobby we have and in which category. That's the way she is also specifying in the bullet point. Community service, have been a volunteer service for Read India campaign, have organized 5 to 6 events of Read India. So, you see first the active one. Watching movies, a movie buff, especially Bollywood and the Hollywood ones. So, that was hobbies and interests. Now, the optional column, references. You see, you can give references for either college professors or professionals under whom you have interned or worked. For work experience guys, your bosses or your colleagues can reference can be given, right? And lastly, the other information, if you are, like for example, certified English language trainer, that was not used in the in your this CV anywhere. So, that can come. Basic level proficiency in French speaking. See, you know another language. So, you would put in there, it makes your CV look better. Okay. So, this is how you make your resume. Now, let's see how we finalize. We have already talked about how we finalize. So, we will just repeat it so that it gets into your mind and you are able to do it with no hassle. So, this was our sample resume. How do we finalize? The first step to finalize is that we will check for spelling and grammar errors. Check for any spelling and grammar errors. Always check for, okay, in spelling errors, always check for homonyms, that is similar sounding words. What happens is that when you type in a word and it is wrong in spelling, but there is a word of that spelling, right? So, the Microsoft Word would not show that it is wrong. okay, and you would get a wrong spelling which would mean entirely different, and your whole everything would go awry, your message would go awry. So spelling and grammar errors has to be checked definitely. Next, proofread to make sentences shorter. So first you proofread it, read every line slowly, make sentences shorter and see whether there are error. And lastly, you give this CV to someone else so that you can he or she can identify any error that is there. So that, my friends, make your resume, completes how you make your resume. Now let's move on to the next topic of today, and that is cover letter. First of all, when is cover letter necessary? For freshers, in off-campus job, cover letter is necessary. Okay, and for work experience candidates, cover letter is always necessary, right? Okay, why is it necessary? Now, first, it differentiates. It gives reason to see your CV. Now, let's see what are the things that we need to remember while writing a cover letter. One thing remember always, that cover letter would be different for different companies, would be different for different situations. Your CV or resume can remain same, but your cover letter needs to be different for every organization. So first of all, explain why you are sending a resume. Specify the job opportunity for which you are applying. Second, tell specifically in what way you have learnt about the position or the organization, example, newspaper, reference, etc. Third, highlight your high points in the career and mention that you are attaching CV along with the cover letter so that he or she can get more detailed information about you. You see, what did I say? There are thousands of resumes which every day go to the HR guy. So why would he or she be seeing your resume? One of the reason may be that you have sent a cover letter along with it, and in India, very few people send a cover letter along with their resume. Secondly, if you make a good cover letter, prima facie it would be very interesting for the HR guy that okay, there is something different that he has done and he has done it well. So he would sort out your CV so that it can be seen later on, and therefore you would be called for the interview. Next, take special care of sentence construction and grammar. Remember, cover letter will be read first, so error in it will not show you in good light, it would ruin your impression. Keep it short. Now, this is very important. Though cover letter is a subjective thing, you should not make an essay writing effort in cover letter. Keep it short, keep the sentences also short. Make the cover letter in 2 to 3 paragraphs so that the HR guy does not feel intimidated to read it. Okay, right? So, let's now see some do's regarding the formatting of CV and cover letter. Okay. The first thing that we need to do regarding formatting is font size. Font size 10 to 12, not very small, not very large font sizes. Second, no exotic fonts. Use Arial, use Calibri or Times New Roman, but no exotic fonts, fonts which are curving, fonts which are curving left, right, okay, slanting fonts, no, nothing like that, okay. Font sizing and formatting should be uniform. So if you have for all the content you are using font size 11 Arial, for all the content it would be font size 11 Arial. Yes, for the heading you might keep it font size 12 Arial, but for all the content part, bullet points part, it should be font size 11. Do not do this that in the project and internship your font size is 12 in the content part, and in your hobbies and interests it is 11. Now that would be a mismatch, okay. Right. Next, alignment of content should be either left aligned or justified, right. So keep it in mind that whenever you finalize your CV, one part is left aligned, one part is justified, one part is right aligned. That should not be the case. It should always be either wholly left aligned or it should be either wholly justified, okay. So those were the do's regarding the formatting of the CV and the cover letter both, right. So now we have already seen how to write a cover letter, how to format a cover letter, how to write a resume, how to format a resume, how to, you know, we have already also seen a sample resume, right? So you have got an idea about how to do these things in a proper way, right? So now that would be all for today. So if you want to see these concepts in more detail, then you can refer to the GD-PI Handbook, which is available on Amazon, the link of which is there in the description column here. So thank you very much and all the best.